Kristin Center, we're going live. Who do you want to do a shout out to?
The world!
The world. Here we go. That was just ridiculous. I love that. Isn't that like a good theme song, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's
For all you guys that haven't ever seen Kristin before, she's been on the show way back in the day before we started working with psychics and healers and all that kind of stuff. She is a Met. We just came up with this. I should say Kristin just came up with this. She is a musician. She's an entrepreneur. She's a teacher. And we are going to talk about all sorts of things today that have to do with music, with running your own business, because she is a business person. We're going to talk about meditation and how it was like before she did it and after she's done it. She is amazing. And Kristin, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm good. I'm going to apologize in advance if I bounce too much for people.
Yeah.
That would be annoying now that I think about it from a viewer perspective. But
I'm just
saying, will stay sitting. I do like sitting on a ball, though. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
We were like in sync there for just 1 second.
We were. I saw that too.
Yeah. By the way, I love your background, your environment. It looks awesome. It looks very meditative. It looks very serene. How are you liking that?
That little light there is nice too.
Yeah.
You can see the reflecting. It's like
I see it there. So how do you juggle all these things, being a musician, an entrepreneur, and a teacher? How does that all work into your life?
I think you try to release your expectation on what each of them should be and just let them be what they can be. Wow, what a Zen statement right out of the bat.
Was, right?
You know, like that, to me, that just feels like that was the biggest thing, was like releasing my tense grip on what the projection of what I had in mind without losing the vision, but just letting it unfold into what it can be while just putting the work in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I first met you back in the day, and I cannot believe it's been years, like a decade, right?
Yeah, probably more. We might be close to more.
Yeah, I'm not even.
We should have a friend anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah, we need a friend anniversary. Okay, we'll hit that on Facebook. Yeah, when I first met you, you were a student and musician, and you were and still are an amazing pianist. And what are you doing with your music these days? I know you're doing some teaching. What's happening with your music?
Yeah, I figured, well, I guess one of the non-Zen secrets to my style would be, I like to do the burner system. So pull one thing up to the front and then let some of the other ones go in the back. And I did that like for like getting super healthy or something. Like I would bring something to the forefront. And right now at the forefront is at the front burner. It's still up for grabs whether or not it's a 2-burner, like, 4-burner stove, or it's just like 1 4-burner row of like burners. Yeah. But at the front is the teaching business, because that's been taking just a lot of energy. And I noticed that like when I was trying to stuff in, because I also have like an album that I told all my fan base I'm like, hey, I'm working on an album, which is good because it doesn't say when it's going to be released. But yeah, I'm working on an album also meant like the burner up here was like, yo, but I got to be maintained. So by releasing the grip on when the album needs to come out really helped. Well, that's part of the DIY thing, right? Too. I don't have a record label poking at me to make more money.
I think that's important because, everybody, at least used to be, it's like, oh, I've got to have a label. I've got to get signed. I got to go on tour. I got to do all these things. And you have figured out a different model that works for your lifestyle. And actually, one of the big reasons I wanted to bring you in was because over the years I've known you, I have seen this transformation of Kristin Center,
oh, that's so nice.
I have seen this transformation from high-strung musician, I'm going to go, to now you are my teacher. You teach me things, and I listen to you all the time.
Dude, Michael, that's awesome. That's that's really sweet.
So,
because in the back of my mind, it's still, I'm still human. I still have the expectation that I should be doing more, or that like I'm still a failure in certain areas. So it's nice to see that from the outside, it's actually like success. Here's another one. Success isn't just like, outward glory or something. Like, to me, you're seeing me as successful just by being actually calm and not like frantic. That's great.
It makes a big difference, because I've seen what happens when things are like frantic, and I've seen what happens when things calm down. So tell me about your meditation, and how was it before you started the meditation, and now that you've incorporated it into your life and your business? What's changed?
Yeah.
First of all, how did you get into the meditation? Why'd you start even doing it?
That is weird. I got like it was on nextdoor.com. There was something somebody was doing for free in their um, living room, and they were just like walkable distance from me. And I thought, I don't know why I thought like let's try it because I hadn't really had any experience with meditation being something that would be super helpful. Like I didn't really. I just like I saw the thing and I'm like, why not? Let's try it. And so I went there and I realized like, whoa, just even if you don't have any clue or like, no pressure zone, just sitting and breathing. And even, eventually you can just keep your eyes open, it doesn't matter. But just sitting there and not letting your thoughts just float around and do their thing and then letting them kind of because they will eventually just naturally they are just going to kind of you're going to
Hmm.
run out of stuff and then they just kind of calm down and then they just settle and you're like when you come out of that you're like it's like your IV drip.
Yeah,
You're like
it is. It's like
it's
the
like a
IV
vitamin drip for the
drips.
brain or for the whole body. It's and everything too. I noticed talk about like something I'll just be like holding my wrist like this. And like it's really sad. I really look at myself as like, oh, you were like doing this before, like all the time throughout the day. And then when I meditate, I realized like where am I still holding? I don't even again, it just happens naturally, but like I'll notice like, something's still curled and then you just I think it's the source of a lot of people's stuff. Like if you hold that much tension in the body, you are going to get some, you know, chronic issues.
Absolutely. I can testify to that. So I'm just trying these days to let things go myself. You know,
Yes, you are good at it. You know why?
um,
Because you naturally have perspective too.
well,
That's
I'm working
helpful.
on that. I'm working on that. So when you're meditating, it's so interesting. I've listened to different people talk about their meditations, right? Like some people
Yeah.
think you have to be in like a certain pose or you have to breathe a certain amount of time. You have to like tense your stomach and push up the energy to your chakras and all this kind of stuff. When you're meditating, does that come into play? What kind of stuff do you do when you meditate?
I think what the really and so that person that ended up having the living room session, I've stayed with him through a couple of years and done Zoom meditation now like twice to three times a week for maybe 3 years. Like starting at the beginning of the pandemic was the Zoom. And what he does a really great job at helping people understand that if you are giving yourself another job when you're meditating, that's defeating the purpose of meditating. Like, so if you have a goal and you're like goal oriented about, well, I really should like, I need to release my grip, I need to calm my thoughts, then you're like doing this, right? As instead of like
Hmm.
just letting the thoughts kind of settle at the bottom of the ocean, you're like pushing them. And then that's another version of, a job. It's like, well, if I'm going to work at this, I think that's why a lot of people lose it, maybe because they don't have good instructors or guides that like, make them feel like also it sort of sounds maybe cheesy or something, but it's like a judgment free zone too. Like you're not doing it wrong. Maybe a lot of people, and I try to do that with my teaching, is it's like people feel like what's the right way to do it? And I'm like, oh, this is music. Like it's okay. Like you can
Yeah.
really the sad thing is like it's I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's
So
it's
you've incorporated the things that you've learned through
just
meditation
naturally.
into your actual teaching then.
Yeah, I haven't even noticed the specific I haven't brought specifically things in, but yeah, that's been really moving because
Wow.
I do, yeah. I want people to feel like to have enough. That's the other thing too, is like how you were asking what the before and after was. The biggest thing is that I've never been like a consumer and obsessed with obtaining like physical objects, but I have been obsessed, and you saw me with my scattered, early young Christian zone. I have been obsessed with gaining like, acquiring wealth, like just money, just so I could even, do great things with it, like help environmental conservation places and just like
Right.
do wonderful things with money. I just did want to make money. And I noticed that like that was my source of my happiness was I thought, okay, I want to go out there, make money, and then I'll be happy. And what meditation has made me do is like you have enough within to be peaceful and happy. You don't need anything else. Like outside, you don't have to have it in order to complete yourself. And I think that's important for people as they're starting music too.
See, I think that's one of the things people don't get, right? In other words, how do you let go of these things, the pressure, so that you can actually get into whatever
Yeah.
that mode is that you want to do, right?
And people need to forgive themselves too, because it's like the, you know, companies have made it so you do feel not good enough just as yourself. It's like you do need this clothing in order to feel hot, or you do need this, major facial reconstruction or something to be good enough. Or, I mean, and it's okay to do all those things. And I understand that, I feel bad for people who feel judged because they have like succumbed to that. Like I know women who like have a lot of work done sometimes feel like women who don't judge them, but it's like it just feels like that pressure does collect, and there's a reason why it collects, because a lot of times people make money off of people's sense of incompleteness or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. It's like I hear all the birds in the background. They're beautiful.
Do you?
Yeah, I hear them.
So funny, these things pick up like the birds more than they pick up. Yeah, they are cute.
Yeah, they're great. I don't have anything here like that. It's just empty space. So, what kind of things are you instilling into your students? Because I know you teach, and we're going to talk about your teaching just for a little bit here. What kind of
Yeah,
things, other than just, okay, you got to play this, are there life lessons that you actually teach your students, or that have come up, or that are you've seen them change because of the way that you teach?
definitely. And I've collected testimonials of them too, just so I'll have them on record. But yeah, I think one of them, which was interesting, this does go along with what I was saying. Like I see now a lot of businesses that shoot out are trying to. I don't know. I actually don't know what it is, because something about my parents have always made me understand from a young age that you have to put work and a long investment into things. But there's this kind of quick fix mentality of like, learn piano in the next 24 hours and like be able to do a concert performance. And you're like, that's not even like, why? Like, why would you want, what is the point of just like, just doing something like the whole glory and the love and the experience? I know this is going to sound, is the
Mhm.
journey. Like, that is the thing. I even said this about, because my mom's helping me build this business too. And I'm like, Mom, when we look back at this, it's not going to be how much money I make like 10 years from now. I'm going to look back to this moment and I'm going to remember building this business with my mom. And I always
Right.
like remember that in my heart too. So I think the students' testimonials a lot of times have been like, she's teaching me the value of a long-term investment. I do like that. Although it's not like cha-ching overnight money. Like
Well,
I think
I mean, in reality, if you look at it, most musicians are probably not going to make lifelong money at it. They're not going to be the Garth Brooks, the Shania Twains, the Bon Jovis. They're going to
yeah,
be,
well, a
they're
lot of
going
them
to have to
don't
live with
want
their
to too.
music.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct. So music has to be something that you do for yourself also, as well as playing in the bars and playing at your high schools and stuff,
Right.
right?
Or you know what I've learned too is that maybe if that's not like anything that's not for you, don't judge yourself for not fitting into the mold, the whole like be yourself because everyone else is taken. It is really, that does go, like everybody has something to offer. And up until this point, I don't know if the music world, I mean, the entertainment world has been a piece of garbage. Like it's been really, it's been like some musicians fit in it, and then some musicians are like really tormented by it. And in some ways, I think I was tormented by performance career stuff, because it felt, first of all, feels like if you get sick or if you're pregnant or if you're anything, what are you supposed to do? Like, you're like screwed. You're like, you got to go on stage. There are 30,000 people here. Like, make it happen. Because all these people's like income depends on it. And they all have families too. Like, I'm like, oh, hell no. Let me have
Yeah.
some residual thing that I've already recorded and built. And then that like produces enough to, so that doesn't fit for most people. And I think it's sad that people might feel that like if it doesn't work for them to be a performer, then they're not a real musician. I
Yeah.
mean, that's all that validation stuff, that external coming to you, like expectation.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I want people to know you have done stages, you have won competitions, you do have your masters in music, and you are like the real deal. So it's not like we're talking about, oh, Kristen's this. No, Kristen has done a lot of really good stuff. So
Thanks. But even see what you're doing there. Like, it's still sad that we have to validate people. Like, you have to give me I don't know, some weight in order for people to respect me. And this goes back to you talking about people thinking for themselves.
Hmm.
Like you can, if you're ready to hear what I'm saying, that's awesome. I mean, that sounds condescending. Like you might be ready, but if you're
You
ready to
might.
take in, I wasn't ready for Dean. My like in the beginning, I went to the living room and I was like, that's enough for a while. And I probably didn't like do any meditation for 6 or 9 months, and then I got back into it. So
Yeah.
if the stuff I'm saying clicks, if it doesn't, but it's so sad that people need to have like, oh, Kristen's like this whole fancy thing. I think my dad was totally um restrained by that. Like he was so into how he showed himself to the world that it was almost like, yeah, but dad, if you just stop worrying about what people think of you or how they perceive you, they might actually get something deeper from you.
There
I
you
don't
go.
know.
See, there's the student becoming the teacher, right? We
Yeah.
got so many of these Zen things coming up today. I want to ask you some more questions, but I do
Yeah.
want people to know that you do actually teach. You've got an amazing course that you
Thanks.
put together. It's
Yeah.
online. It's at tmlessons.com. People should go there
Stands
right
for
now.
Topanga. Topanga
Topanga
music.
Music Lessons.
Yeah.
Yes. Why Topanga?
There's cool water all over.
Oh, no
Cause
problem.
I
Keep doing that.
gotta. No, um, because Topanga is this cool little city in California, unincorporated city, but that's where I
Yeah.
started teaching. And I was in the Airstream and I was living. That was in the time when I thought, in order to like feel more light on the planet and less, heavy and burdened by expectations, that you had to have a physical representation of that. So I went full minimalist, got rid of everything and lived in the little minimal trailer that I
That's awesome.
gutted and took care of. Yeah, and I was in Topanga and I taught
Yeah.
lessons out of it.
By the way, I recommend that for people while you're still young and do that because
Yeah.
it's like one of those mind expanding things. Then you figure out it's like, oh yeah, I do want air conditioning, and then
Yeah, yeah, you
those
do go
things.
through the cycle, and you see most people that like blog about tiny homes are like, "Well, I'm in an apartment now," and you're like, "Okay, which is
Exactly.
okay. I mean, it's good."
Okay, so quick questions
Yeah.
that have nothing to do with what we've been talking about so far. What's your favorite musician?
Ooh. Okay, we're gonna do like the Vogue
Yeah,
or whatever those speedy
I have
questions.
no idea. Let's see.
It might be Peter Gabriel. I just
Really?
like that. I like that. Yeah, back from the beginning, I still like that whole.
Solo or with Genesis?
Well, I think both, but like just that to me, when you ask me about a musician, it's not just the music, because like favorite musicians probably some obscure like African drummer that I might have on my thing that I actually I can't even pronounce the name of. But like
Right?
favorite, because I see, artists is the whole Gesamtgeskapen is like the
Yeah.
German word for like the whole thing.
Is that a
I
real
know.
word?
Yeah, yeah. I think Lady Gaga or somebody was like the first person that reminded me that, oh yeah, art can be like a full artwork. Like you can do music and visual arts and everything all within the same brand or something. She didn't use that term, but yeah.
Just
Yeah. So I like
just
Peter
log in.
Gabriel's like Gesamtgeskapen.
Okay. I'm gonna go with that's a real word. I'm gonna look it up on Google in just
We'll
a
look
minute.
it up. I
Say,
might
hey
be
Google,
totally
what is
off.
this?
It was from, yeah, music history, like,
Yeah.
1102 or something.
Really? Favorite place you've ever lived?
Ah, oh, that one's interesting. Again, has to do more with
Just log in.
the
Yeah.
inside more than the outside. So I think Topanga was really awesome because internally I was really calm and at peace, but it could be anywhere. It shouldn't be,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
right place.
Cats or dogs?
Oh, come on, both.
They
They're both so sweet. They both have such different
are.
things to offer. I
Really?
suck at this because I'm like having to give you like you're like tip of the iceberg. Just give me the tip, Kristen. I'm like, no, let me explain the whole thing.
You can go and do the whole thing. I want to throw this back up so people actually remember to come and see you at
Oh,
tmlessons.com,
thanks.
topangamusiclessons.com.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think I'm going to
Yeah.
start throwing in more of these quick questions like, ice cream or yogurt. That's a good one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, ice cream.
It's so divisive though, Michael. Like it's
Isn't
so like well, I don't know. I mean, I guess, but it's also okay. Another thing would be like preferences would be like, at some point, why have such an like, people who hate broccoli their whole lives, it would behoove them to just chill out on that like identity and just try it again from a different country. And
it?
I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, because like I love raw broccoli now.
You do? See, I still
Yeah.
have trouble with it.
No, I like the raw
Comforts
broccoli.
my
I also like
stomach.
it steamed with Havarti cheese. It's
Oh
like it's
well,
amazing.
yeah.
And then we just dump a little bit of dill on it, and then
Ooh,
it's an amazing thing. So
that's
steamed
cool.
broccoli, Havarti cheese, and a little bit of dill, and you've got like a meal.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, Michael's actually like a baller cook. I remember
No.
you used to make these sandwiches for us with
Oh yeah.
back in the time we were both eating meat with like that thinly shaved
Oh yeah.
boar's head.
Turkey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
boar's
boar's
head
head.
turkey. It was
Oh
just
yeah.
like, it was like paper and it just like such a thick sandwich. Perfect amount for our taste, perfect
Yeah.
amount of like, moistness. So
Yeah.
good. Great
Man,
salmon. You should
I'm
put
going
dill
to the
on
grocery
salmon
store
more.
next. I haven't
I
tried
don't
that
remember
yet.
you making a dill salmon. Yeah, you'd be good
Mm-mm.
at that.
All right. All right, guys. If you've got questions for Kristin, hit her up at tmlessons.com. Try out her courses. I know that you will absolutely love them. I've seen the work and it is done super well, and
Oh,
uh,
thanks.
we're going to move into it. So, I guess, Kristin, I will see you again in the future sometime. And for right
Yeah,
now,
thanks for doing this. Thanks for doing like your show with other people too. It's so cool.
there we go.
I
Pretty
love
soon.
you're such a good interviewer. You're so like curious and wanting people to, thrive and be their best selves and then helping other people be
Yeah,
their best self. It's
I didn't
cool.
even. We'll ask more questions next time. All right,
Yeah.
everybody. Thank you very much. See ya.
Now that you put